Turns out the Detroit Pistons will make a move before the trade deadline as they have traded Kevin Knox, Gabriele Procida, and a second-round pick to the Utah Jazz for Simone Fontecchio. We're going to talk about what this deal means, if this helps the Pistons, was it a good deal, in today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I'm your host, Kuka Hill. You can find me over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. So just yesterday we recorded and we talked about how we didn't expect the Detroit Pistons to make any trades. That if I had to bet my money, I would bet on them going past this deadline without making any move, and potentially, if any move, it would be just moving Killian Hayes off the team. Well, turns out that I was wrong. The Detroit Pistons have made a deal for the Utah Jazz forward Simone Fontecchio to come to the Detroit Pistons for Kevin Knox, a 2024 second-round pick that's from the Washington Wizards. I believe it's the better of the Washington Wizards or Memphis Grizzlies pick. Either way, it's going to be a very early second-round pick. And the draft rights to Gabriele Procida. Immediate reaction to this deal. I thought this was actually a really good deal by Troy Weaver. I think this was a savvy move by him. Kevin Knox is a journeyman, and he was fine, I guess, for the Pistons. And saying someone was fine for the Pistons en route to them having like 6 wins and potentially not getting to 10 wins, maybe it's not saying much, but he was fine. He was also a player that wasn't in the NBA before this. The Pistons signed him after like 2 weeks into the season, so giving him up isn't a big deal at all. The draft rights to Gabriele Procida, from my understanding, it was not likely he was ever going to come over to the United States and play for the Pistons. Now, he may come over to the United States and play for whoever else has his rights, but for the Pistons, it wasn't likely going to happen. And then also, the second-round pick that they're giving up, it's not their own second-round pick. It is an early second-round pick, but if you can move a second-round pick for a player that will be a rotation player for you, that can be an impactful player for you, there's no problem with doing that. Like, for example, before we get into Simone Fontecchio and him as a player, if you have a second-round pick that turns out to be a Simone Fontecchio, that's a win. A role player for your team in the second round, that's a win. So I have no issues at all with this. And you got a player I believe can be pretty impactful for the Detroit Pistons. Now, I've watched Fontecchio a few times this season. I've watched the Jazz play quite a few times for some reason. I don't know. But each time, I tweeted this out when they made the deal. Each time I've watched the Jazz play, he's jumped off the screen to me. He's someone that I've looked at. I'm like, damn, the Pistons. He could do some good things for the Pistons. He would really help the Pistons. Every time I've watched him, he's jumped off the screen to me, and he destroyed the Pistons. Really took it to the Pistons at LCA earlier in the season. So he's someone that I wasn't the only one who thought that. I saw a few other Pistons people in the community talk about Fontecchio at other points throughout the season, saying he's a good sneaky player that maybe they could pick up that would help them. I'm not trying to say I was the one person who thought, that guy might help the Pistons. I saw plenty of other people saying, for a few months that Fontecchio may be a sneaky pickup. So I think he's going to help. For those people out there who are not familiar with who Fontecchio is a 28-year-old, 6'8" forward. Again, he's 28, I believe. Let me just confirm this. Yes, this is his second NBA season. His first year did not go swimmingly. But this season, he's having a great year. He's shooting 45% from the field, 39% from deep on 4.7 attempts, so nearly 5 attempts a game. He's shooting 56% on all twos, and he's averaging 9 points a game, 3.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists. Again, this guy is not some superstar. He's not he's not going to be some great player for the Pistons, but he serves what you need for this team. He is a big wing who can shoot the basketball, and he's a better defender than probably every other wing on this team besides Asar Thompson. He's a better defender than Bojan Bogdanovic. He was a better defender than Kevin Knox. He was a better defender this year than Isaiah Livers. He is a better defender than all those guys. And he is a guy who doesn't just shoot catch and shoot threes. He is a movement shooter. He can shoot off the screen. He can shoot coming off pin downs. He can shoot off dribble. This season on handoffs, he's shooting or not shooting. He's in the 82nd percentile this year coming off handoffs, coming off screens. He's in the 65th percentile, which Synergy has ranked as very good. And a crazy thing about him this season, it's actually there's a few players in the NBA that are like this, but on guarded catch and shoots, he's one of the best in the entire NBA. He's in the 95th percentile. On unguarded catch and shoot threes, he's nowhere near as good. He's in the 25th percentile. So I don't know, or the 24th percentile. I don't know how, what's up with that. Some players, I guess, just shoot better when they're contested. I don't know. But also dribble jumpers, he's also really good. 84th percentile. This dude can just flat out shoot the basketball. All jump shots, 82nd percentile. He is a big wing that can straight up shoot the basketball, whether it's catch and shoot, coming off screens, coming off dribbles, anything. This dude will let it fly, and he's going to be a great shooter for the Detroit Pistons. Also, again, like I said, I really want to put emphasis on him being a better defender than any other wing. It's not like he's a fantastic defender. It's not like he's an all-NBA defender. But he is a better defender than Bojan is. He is a better defender than Kevin Knox was. He's a better defender than all these other guys on the Pistons rotation, that are wings besides Asar Thompson. So I think that is a massive pickup. He is going to be the 3-and-D player that the Pistons have been needing for years, that they initially expected Saddiq Bey to be, except Fontecchio actually can be that. Something I'm actually interested in seeing is I actually sneakily believe that Asar Fontecchio may work a lot better than Asar and Bojan. Because of the reasoning, Fontecchio is better than Bojan on defense, and Fontecchio doesn't need the ball in his hands as much to provide his value. Bojan is a better shot creator. He's going to take the ball. He's going to run a pick and roll. He's going to try to get to his shot. He's going to post up, take up usage. He's going to require usage. I think a lineup of, I'm really interested in seeing a lineup of Cade, Ivy, Asar, Fontecchio, and Duren. Because Fontecchio is not going to be someone that needs to soak up touches. He's not someone who needs to soak up usage. And he's going to feast off of playing with other playmakers like Cade, Ivy, Asar, Duren on the lineup. Guys where he's going to be, go watch some of his highlights. The movement that he has. He's constantly running around the three-point line. He's constantly moving. He knows how to relocate. He's hitting off the dribble threes. He's hitting fadeaway threes, coming off pin downs. Like, I think that he may fit perfectly with the core four in that lineup because he doesn't require high usage, and also because he's not just a blow-by defensively. He actually is someone who can defend. So I very much like this pickup. I think this is one of those on-the-edges pickups that the Pistons have been needing to make. It sounded like that was going to be one of the moves they were going to try to make rather than a big move. I think this is probably one of the best ones they could have done. They didn't give up anything really of value, I don't believe. The second-round pick is a fine second-round pick, but I think that's fine value for the guy that you're getting. Also, he is a restricted free agent this offseason, and according to Woj, the Pistons plan on him being around the team for a few years into the future. He's 28. He can grow with this team as a veteran, as a guy who's played basketball for a long time overseas. I saw someone tweet this, and it's completely true. It's far more likely that Fontecchio is on the Pistons' next playoff team than it is Bojan Bogdanovic is. So I don't expect him to leave in the offseason. I completely expect the Pistons to match or re-sign him before he even has to go into restricted free agency. I really like this deal. I think this is a good deal by the Pistons. Is it drastically changing everything for the Pistons? No. But I think if there's one takeaway, if there's one future big picture takeaway to have from this trade, I think it's that it's clear. I'm sure a lot of people already thought this, but I think this trade kind of makes it even more clear that this front office and ownership fully believes that if this young core simply had quality role players around them, not stars. Now, yes, obviously a star could help them, but they don't need a star. They believe that if they simply had quality role players around them, instead of some of the worst players in the NBA, this season would not have gone out of hand as it is. They believe that they simply had veteran role players, guys who could space the floor, guys who are like the 6, 7, 8, 9 man on your team, simply playing 15 to 20 minutes. If they had some of those guys, that this season would not have been as bad as it's been. And you can blame them for that being the case. It shouldn't have taken until February 7th for them to go acquire some guys, in Muscala, obviously, a few weeks ago, and Gallinari a few weeks ago. It shouldn't have taken them this long. They should have acquired that in the offseason, so they didn't have to wait for the season to get out of hand to do so. But it's clear to me that that's their belief, that if they just surround these guys with role players and guys who fit what they need rather than going and getting stars, they think this season wouldn't have gotten out of hand, and they think they can still build something with them moving forward without having to go big fish hunting. Now, I do expect them to go big fish hunting in the offseason. I expect them to do that. But again, I think that's also another belief of theirs that they could have just gotten role players and this season would have been okay. Everyone would have been happy. Maybe not playoffs, but it wouldn't have been this bad. So we'll see how it looks for the rest of the year. We'll see if they make any other moves. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But overall, this trade, I'd give Troy Weaver a B+ on this trade. I think it's a good move by the Detroit Pistons. But let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kuka. How do you guys feel about this trade? Do you guys think it was a good trade? Do you guys know anything about Fontecchio? What do you think about him? Do you think he's going to help the team? What lineups are you interested in watching and seeing with him on the floor? Let me know all that again over on the YouTube section comments or YouTube comment section, my goodness, or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. When we come back, does trading for Fontecchio make Bojan Bogdanovic more expendable? We'll talk about that when we come back. But first, I've got to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you'll get your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guarantee Fit only available to U.S. customers. Again, keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Then let me tell you about another one of our sponsors. And this one, you guys know, is one of my favorite sponsors, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. They are the easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Is just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Two of my favorite things about Prize Picks, by far, absolutely by far. One, you can do cross sports entries. So you can go NBA, NFL. You can do NFL hockey. You can do any NBA hockey. You can even do NBA or NFL with esports. I absolutely love it. You can go any sport that you're thinking of, you can do cross sports, whether it's overseas sports, anything. I promise you it's on there. The other thing that I think is absolutely big time with Prize Picks, if you play daily fantasy sports, you know that injuries can absolutely destroy everything for you. But with Prize Picks, they are the only daily fantasy sports platform out there that offers insurance policy on injuries. For example, if you have a football or basketball player in one of your entries and they get hurt in the first half and don't return the second half, with Prize Picks, that player is automatically rebooted. Everywhere else, you're screwed. It is what it is. That by far makes Prize Picks the best option out there for you. Anyone who plays daily fantasy sports knows that is good enough to make them easily the best daily fantasy sports platform out there. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with Prize Picks. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. The NBA trade deadline is fast approaching, and Locked On Fantasy Basketball is your place for the live reaction Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Subscribe to Locked On Fantasy Basketball on YouTube today so you don't miss Josh Lloyd breaking down every NBA trade with analysis and insight you can only get from Locked On Fantasy Basketball, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. So does acquiring Simone Fontecchio make Bojan Bogdanovic more expendable? Well, the quick answer to me is yes and no. One, I say yes, because they should have been trying to move Bojan nonetheless, even without acquiring Fontecchio. Like we talked about in the last episode, the Detroit Pistons season is over. It is done. It's absolutely done with. And Bojan is a partial guarantee this offseason, along with Burks, who is an expiring contract, and Monte Morris, who's expiring contract. Those guys. It's in my opinion that the Detroit Pistons, as I had the opinion last year of this, is to move off of these guys and get value for them. get value for them in a season that is absolutely lost instead of losing them for nothing or trying to bring them back, which is another thing we talked about in the last episode. I don't understand why there's some people that really want the Pistons to just bring back some of these same guys. These guys are a part of a team that is rivaling the worst record in NBA history by the 1973 Philadelphia 76ers. Like, that's the history they're fighting with. Why everyone's so attached to those guys instead of just going out and building a new type of team in the offseason around your main guys, it confuses me. But nonetheless, I believe you should be trying to move off Bojan anyways and get assets, whatever you can, for the offseason where you go after this big splash that everyone's been talking about into this offseason in 2024. Now you have more assets to deal, some more picks to deal with, along with the cap space you're going to have. So that's just my opinion. So acquiring Fontecchio, if you were to move Bojan, whether it's for another player or if it's for more assets or whatever it's for, you have a guy who is a sniper, who can hit movement threes, who can play some defense, and can slide into that starting lineup without a problem. I think that's fine. He started most of the season for the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz were 3 points better with him on the floor, I believe. Yeah, 3.1 points better with him on the floor this season. So he started most of their games this year. If you were to move Bojan, you could definitely just slide him in. I think they'd be fine for sure. Again, this is a hot take from me. There is this. I have some belief that a Cade, Ivy, Fontecchio, Asar Duran lineup may be better than a Cade, Ivy, Bojan, Asar Duran lineup. But we'll see how that is. I know that's a sneaky hot take, but I have a level of belief that would be the case. Nonetheless, that's my reasoning for yes. No, it doesn't make Bojan more expendable because this team really likes Bojan and they don't want to move Bojan, period, it seems like. So whether they acquire another shooter or not, it doesn't seem like they want to move off of Bojan, one. And two, you can never have too many shooters. So if they want to keep Bojan and keep Fontecchio as well to just space the floor and run a lineup maybe with both of them on the floor next to Cade or with Ivy or whatever, then yeah, I could see that working as well. Like, you can never have too much shooting. As you can see, the Pistons are one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the league, and it's been like that for a minute. They've needed shooting for a while. You can never have too much shooting. So while I believe, hold on, the Knicks and Pistons have been in trade discussions around Alec Burks per Woj ESPN on NBA Today. That's my live reaction to that. Just got that notification. That's why you guys have been seeing me look down at my phone during the episode, because we're starting to see a lot of trade rumors and trade talk get leaked out as soon as the Pistons made their deal. I'm interested to see what the Knicks do with Alec Burks then. If the Pistons do trade Alec Burks to the Knicks, I wonder if the Pistons can get their first-round pick somehow. I don't know if they need to attach something. They probably would need to attach something to Alec Burks, but I wonder if they can get their first-round pick back. Or maybe the Knicks want to give the Pistons Grimes. Like, who knows? I'm really interested in that. I think that could be a sneaky good trade for the Pistons, depending on what they can get back. I think there's definitely some assets over there that they could take for Alec Burks, but it depends what the Knicks want to give up. And then obviously we've talked about how Marcus Sasser can step into Alec Burks. I'm sure they want to, give Marcus Sasser more minutes. And like I said, he can step into Alec Burks' role immediately instead of having to go get his replacement. But anyways, going back to what makes Bojan, is this making Bojan more expendable? Sorry, I had to give my reaction to that. No, because like I said, you can never have too much shooting. So as much as I would trade Bojan if they did keep Bojan, I think it would be a mistake, but I guess it wouldn't be the end of the world. And it's not like it keeping Bojan makes your team worse. He definitely wouldn't make the team worse, I don't think, obviously. So I think yes and no. If they would like to move on Bojan, if there's a deal that comes around, I'm sure looking at the fact that they have Fontecchio is like, okay, well, yeah, maybe we may be able to survive and it'll be fine without him. I'm sure they can, that's true. While also, the same thing being true that we don't really want to move off of Bojan. We want to keep him, and we believe him and Fontecchio both being on the roster really helps the team. Like, I think both things can be true. So I think this is a yes and no answer. If you had to give my prediction I should say, on if Bojan gets traded, I'd say no. It doesn't seem like they really want to move off of him. And I know yesterday we recorded, so I just looked down my phone again. Woj just tweeted out about Xavier Tillman getting traded. I know I said yesterday that I did not expect the Pistons to make many moves. I didn't really expect them to make any moves unless, and outside of like maybe moving off of Killian Hayes somewhere. Based off the moves they made and based on some of the things I've heard after the move they made today, I would say that it's more likely now that they make maybe one or two more smaller moves. Now, I don't think that they're going to make a bigger move based on what I understand. It could happen, like anything's on the table. But if I had to predict based off what I understand now, as of this recording, I do not think that they're going to make a bigger trade. I still would say maybe not another move, but just a change of 24 hours. Like within 24 hours, the Pistons made this move. And now I would say that it's more likely they make multiple moves than it was yesterday. If I had to make bets, I'd still would probably lean towards them not making more moves outside of maybe moving Killian Hayes off somewhere. Like, I don't count that as a move. I think that's just going to be like trade Killian for a TPE or like cap space or something. Like, I don't think that's going to be anything. So I'm not counting that. But outside of that, I still would bet no, but it's more likely now based on some of the things I've heard than it was yesterday when we recorded around the same time. I actually think James Edwards III tweeted out that he believes that maybe at least one more move's coming. And I think he might be, my read on that is that I think he might be talking about Killian Hayes trade. I'm talking about a non-Killian Hayes trade. I think it's slightly more likely now that they make another one, but we'll see. But you guys let me know. Do you guys think this makes Bojan Bogdanovic more expendable now after this trade for Fontecchio? And also, do you think more trades are coming? We're going to talk about that in this final segment. We'll dive into it even more. Let me know, though, in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. We'll talk about more trades that possibly could happen when we come back. But first, you guys got to hear from some of our lovely sponsors. First, I've got to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, Game Time. You shouldn't have to worry about when you buy tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. And Game Time is great for someone like me who I wait till the last minute with everything, and that often screws me over. I end up getting terrible seats. I end up having to spend money on seats maybe I don't want. The view is terrible, all that stuff. But with Game Time, you get last-minute tickets and last-minute flash deals all the way up until the start of the event, and sometimes even after the start of the event. And another great thing with Game Time is that you can see the view from your seat before you actually even buy them. A lot of times, like I said, I'll get the ticket, I'll show them like, man, these seats are terrible. With Game Time, you see what the view would look like from your seat, so you don't have to be surprised. You may not get screwed over. You may not regret it as you show up. Game Time takes all of that away. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON, locked on that is, for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed with Game Time. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. I'm not going to lie to you guys. So I just looked at my phone while I'm talking here because Woj keeps tweeting out stuff and Evan Sidery keeps tweeting out stuff and Brian Windhorst keeps I'm getting all kinds of notifications. So I'm trying to keep up with everything in case a trade happens while I'm recording. And one of these tweets were the Sixers are interested in trading for Kelly O. And I thought this was saying that the Sixers were interested in trading Kelly Oubre. And I was about to say, the Pistons should get on that. I was someone who wanted Kelly Oubre in the offseason, but they're talking about Kelly Olynyk, not Kelly Oubre, obviously. So my bad. But anyways, like I said, are there any more trades to come? Like I said in the last segment, based on some of the things I'm hearing today after this move, I'd say it's more likely that they make moves than it was yesterday. And James Edwards III, I wanted to get the tweet right in front of me. He said, quote, I feel pretty confident they're doing at least one more move, but they don't have to use the TPE for a year, I believe. He's talking about the TPE that they would acquire by trading Kevin Knox. Or actually the TPE that they acquired from Washington's deal. I believe I saw Keith Smith NBA of Spotrac tweet that the Pistons could get a TPE from trading Kevin Knox. But I could be incorrect with that, so don't take that to the bank. But anyways, it sounds like that the Pistons are in discussions with the Knicks for Alec Burks. That could be an intriguing deal. I still think they should be trying to move off of Bojan. I still think they should be trying to move off of Burks and Monte Morris. Do I think they're going to do all that? Like I said, I'm still betting no, but it's more likely now. And I would be okay. I would be okay if they make a few more moves involving those guys, and it's not for like some crazy player. If it's just for stuff around the edges, or if it's for assets. Like I don't think they need. Let me take that back. They do need to eventually get someone like big time. But at this moment, it doesn't sound like there's many of those guys available, obviously. So if they move those guys just for assets or better fits around the perimeter of their team, I'd be cool with that as well. I'd be really cool with that as well. But yeah, man, I mean, that's all I've got for you guys today. I really like this Fontecchio trade. I think this trade was a really good one. I think he fits this team really well. Like I said, every time I've watched the Jazz, he's jumped off the screen. Friend of the podcast and the guy who, really started my Pistons media career, Sham, who's been on the podcast numerous times. I believe he was just on the podcast last month. He actually tweeted out months ago saying, quote, "Look, I know Pistons fans are trying to clown on Sadiq," because this was a tweet talking about how badly Sadiq was shooting from three. But he said, "You want a cheap stretch four next to Duren that won't be a sieve on defense? Look no further than Fontecchio." And Sham likes to say, actually, I don't think this was months ago. It was actually a few weeks ago he tweeted that out. And Sham is somebody who claims to have no history as a credible insider. He's lying. I think that's the whole purpose of that. So I think maybe Sham was trying to give us a hint. But yeah, like I said, there's been a few people in Pistons community, not just me, not just him. There's been a few people I've seen that have said that he would have been a good fit. So I really like it. I'm really interested to see how the Pistons utilize him, how many minutes he plays, what kind of lineups they put him out there with. I think a Cade, Ivy, Bojan, and Fontecchio lineup with maybe Duren at the front at the center position, that is just crazy spacing. I think the defense would be awful, but I think that would be crazy spacing. I also, like I said, I really want to see Cade, Ivy, Asar, Fontecchio, and Duren. I think that lineup would fit really well. I'm really interested in seeing it. I hope Monty Williams utilizes that lineup, because I think it could really work. But I'm happy about this trade. I think this is a good one. I think Pistons fans should be happy about the trade. And I'm giving it a B+. So let me know what you guys think. Again, comment section down below or over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. That's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen every single day. Free available on all your podcast platforms. Hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel. Leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe. Maybe another trade will happen by the time you guys hear from me next. Hopefully so. Make it more fun. Make it more interesting season. I'm hoping for it, but we'll see what happens. Till next time, peace out.